It's time for you to be the you that you know you can be and define your mettle. My name is Preston Ewell, and I'm the host of the Mettle Mentality podcast. I'm a husband, a father, and American soldier. What is mettle? It's your strength of character that you rely on to endure hardship. It's your grit. Together we'll learn from some dedicated, passionate, mettle-minded individuals who define themselves by their grit and their graduation from suffering. Be mettle. Stay mettle.
So excited for today's show. Talking to one of my greatest heroes, someone I idolize, someone who's been a huge impact in my life. He's a former NFL player. He was on American Ninja Warrior on NBC. He's a motivational speaker, the host of the Off Shift podcast, identity shift coach. His life experience has given him a unique opinion on what it means to have a resilient mind and to have a mettle mentality. Please welcome to the show today, Mr. Anthony Trucks. How are you, Anthony?
I'm great, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. And thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world.
No, the pleasure is truly mine. Like I said, that you're one of my greatest heroes, and you've made such a huge impact on my life that I've got to share your message with the listener. Everyone hearing this is going to benefit from you. You're an incredible human being. What you're doing is something I truly believe in. I'm so happy that you're willing to be a part of this.
Yeah, man, of course. I mean, I rarely ever turn them down. I find that in life, life has an amazing plan for us, and typically we mess it up. So I try not to mess it up by saying no to different things that pop up in my feed.
Yeah, well, it's awesome, man. This is going to be cool. So I want to just jump right into this.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions I want to ask you here. What is your closet passion?
Oh, man, my closet passion. I don't know if my passion is the closet passion. My literal passion is surfing and speaking. Like, I think speaking is my closet passion, but I don't have anything else besides that, to be honest. Like, it's my hobby, it's my job, it's my love. I don't have maybe I would say my closet passion is like watching my kids play sports, having them just, and compete and go do their thing. But I live a very transparent life. I don't have much that's not like publicly seen. I mean, I'm a Duck fan, and everybody who knows me, I'm wearing a Duck hat. Like, I'm not really, I'm always kind of engaged in that, but my life is very transparent and open. So at this point in time, I don't have any things that are kind of behind the closed doors at all.
So what's your closet talent, maybe? It's a talent you have that people don't know you have. Like, here's mine. I can rap the entire song of Truth Hurts by Lizzo.
Oh, there you go. I can't do that at all. What's a closet skill set I have? I am ridiculously good at board games and like weird, like Scrabble and Cranium. My family, so when I play games with them, my family hates playing it because I'm really good. And I purposely try to be really good. But you also got to realize my realm of the work I do is about seeking new potential and fulfilling like whatever your potential is. And so whenever I see an area that is something I could try or may not be good at, I lean into it all. So I think I'm always playing into like, what's the next new cool thing I can do? Therefore, it's not really always a closet thing because I talk about it openly. When I try something new, like I just talk about it openly because I'm the guy leading the charge of like, hey, what's your full potential look like outside of what you think it is now? Because the next thing that we do in life that's great, we typically can't even think of it right now. We do something that leads us to it, but we couldn't picture it right now. So I'm always trying to lead myself to that thing.
Yeah, you're definitely a leader in getting people to understand who they are and helping them find their worth. That's why I wanted to have you on, because you helped me find my identity even more than I understood.
I'm happy to hear it, man.
So what is your opinion on Bigfoot?
Bigfoot exists somewhere in the world. Why not? I mean, what's Bigfoot? It's a hairy guy in the woods. I mean, based on the things we have now going on nowadays, I'm sure Bigfoot has to exist somewhere.
It's a good answer. Nobody knows what it is. No one has a Bigfoot in their garage they're studying, right? So nobody knows what it is, but there's no evidence that says it can exist. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm with it.
So the name of this show is Mettle Mentality. Mettle mentality is something I define as consistently believing in your ability to endure hardship with fortitude. How would you define mettle mentality, and what makes your opinion unique on this?
Oh man, it's an open-ended question. I like open-ended questions. So my opinion on like a mettle mentality, if you think about it, metal is malleable because I think that the mentality we have as humans should adjust and change, right? So we shouldn't be stuck in any kind of mindset, because we look at like the mindset can bend, but it can't always just bend negative. It can bend positive, right? I can grow it. So metal is hard to bend, but it's not always impossible. And with heat, it becomes easier, pressure, right? So heat and pressure. So the way I look at like the heat of life is hard things happen and we mold and bend. Do we bend to create something that falls apart into a blob, or do we create something amazing? Like, I don't know, a nice, beautiful structure or statue outside, right? So we can craft something with that. And I believe that if you look at metal and things that are changing, with me, my life has always been that. Like, I was given away at 3 years old in foster care. So I started out in a situation where I was not feeling like I was worthy, or like even my own mom loved or cared about me. And I went through a situation, man, where life gave me the heat and pressure early. So bounced around between multiple, I think like 5 foster homes in like a 3-year period, where I was like beaten and starved, like weird torture things, just really difficult situations as a kid, not feeling like I mattered, then also getting physically abused. And so I kind of was trial by fire early on, dude, like in an uncomfortable, not necessary way. To this point in life, like now, fast forward many, many years, I'm not happy these things happen, but I appreciate them because they did craft a stronger Anthony. I then got put into a family, which is my family to this day. Unique thing is I'm the only Black person in an all-white family, except for now my brother-in-law, my wife's sister married recently. But yeah, so I've always had this navigation of like, what's my identity? Because that's my work, is identity. And when I'm trying to help people reach their full potential, it's really happening through this shift of their persona in the background, which is attached to this mental mentality you're talking about. So for me, I was always navigating this. Went from this foster kid to now I'm this adopted kid at 14, which is like 8 years in the system. My mom gets sick, so now I have the identity of like this, son of a sick mom, former foster kid, only Black kid in an all-white family. I take on football, not very good, so identity of a football player that sucks. Figure some things out with the football realm and end up earning a scholarship, get much better in high school, got a scholarship to the University of Oregon, go to college. My sophomore year, I have a son. So now I have all the previous identities. Now I'm this, football player in college, and now I'm a father, married to my fiance, not married, but I'm engaged to my fiance, who's the mother of my son. I might meet my real dad. So my very first collegiate starts, we're playing Mississippi State, and I find him like maybe 4 or 5 months previous. He lived like 5 hours, I want to say east of, in Marietta, Georgia, 5 hours east of Mississippi, and drove over. So I had to meet my real dad, have my first collegiate start, got a game ball, played on national TV, like pretty good day. And, that was kind of like my journey of navigating this stuff. And then fast forward a few more years, I'm blessed to play in the NFL. NFL stands for not for long. So you're in, you're out. And then I tore my shoulder, man, playing against the Philadelphia Eagles with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went on to get a Super Bowl ring that year. The Steelers did. I went home on an injury. And I started another part of the journey, which is, who the hell is Anthony without this thing? Like, it happens for like moms when their sons go off or daughters go off to college. Happens for military whenever people leave the military. My brother was a person who did that, was in the Navy, left for 4 years, went back to the Army, he's going to retire. So I've been around this in many different areas. I've experienced it myself of this thing that I gave my all to, that built me, is now torn from me. What in the hell do I do with my life? And that was, for me, the biggest identity crisis I ran into throughout my entire life. Was about 2011. My marriage was falling apart. I had 2 more kids. I was, not the present father. My gym business I'd opened up after I navigated this football thing was not going very well. My health sucked. And so next thing I know, I find myself one late night driving off, texting my friends and family saying, please tell my kids who their father was. Like, I was at that bottom, bro. Because I think when you get to the point of everything is torn away, like for me, it was a physical pain. Like, there's emotional part to it, but the brain can't always distinguish between physical and emotional. And in these moments for me, I felt this physical pain that I could not find a way to stop. The only thing I could think of was like, man, I gotta get some rat poison, put it down, get in this trap. And thankfully it was too late. No stores were open. Sat in my car. The feeling, kind of, we'll call it, that it passed, I guess. I just sat there and then eventually went home and started this journey of like, how the hell do I find Anthony again? Because that's not Anthony.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to just go back to that a little bit. So you're sitting in your car. Were you suicidal at that moment? Or were you just feeling depressed?
Yeah, I drove off, and I drove for an hour, man. And I couldn't stop crying. I stopped in a parking lot in Stockton, California at this gas station. And there was GPS on my phone. So when I sent the text, I didn't respond to anybody. But my wife, she ended up calling the police who tracked the GPS and they ended up showing up where I'm just sitting there.
So you
So I wasn't
text your
doing
wife.
anything.
So I'm sorry, man.
No, yeah,
I'm going to get some clarity on this. So you text your wife, please let the kids know who their father was.
Yeah, I texted it's like a group text to some people. I said, please tell my children who their father was.
So were you planning on killing yourself, or were just?
Yeah, that was the plan driving out, man. It was like after this UFC fight, it was like 9 o'clock at night, and this fight got done, and I was at my buddy's house. And what ended up happening is like I'd found out my wife was having an affair at this Disneyland trip, or not the Hawaii trip. The gym is tanking. I'm not making any money. I just felt like a complete loser. Everything was just the bottom. And I remember when I went through this foggy feeling, like this. It just felt like this couldn't be real. Like, this isn't real in my life. Like, there's no way. I was this former NFL star. Like, so I have this very big discrepancy between the powerful, amazing human I was that everybody wanted his autograph to this guy who couldn't even have his wife stay with him. So there's this big gap there. And I call it an identity gap in my work now. It's a big identity gap between who I am and who I want to be. And I was so big. And the bigger it is, the closer you are to that rock bottom. That was huge. And I remember I'm at this fight. I walk out of the fight. My buddy who'd been watching me said I sat in the same spot in the chair, didn't talk to anybody for 3 hours, just stared. Then I got up and I walked out. And he follows me out. He says, Ant, man, I know you got a lot going on. I know the stories. But he says, hey, you got to realize, like, this is your reality. And it was those simple words. It's as simple as they are. It cleared the fog, and all of it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was this weight that just slammed on my chest of like, this is real. This is really, wow. Like, and it hurt. That's where it hurt. And I was like, I can't do this. And so I just drove off, sent a text message and drove off. And I didn't even know where I was going, to be honest. I just remember I just got in the freeway and just started driving. Wherever the road turned, I turned with it. And just kept going. And then I was trying to find stores, but no stores were open because it was like 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, there was nothing open. I just stopped my car and sat there. And at this time, you got to realize, like, there's still text messages coming in. People are trying to find me. So like I'm just sitting there, and like the pain of the immediacy just kind of wore off a little bit. And I'm just sitting in this car, and the police lights show up, and they stopped me and they pulled me out of the car. You all right? And, like, physically, like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I got a call from your wife. Like, yeah, I just played it off like, oh, she's crazy. I went off. She was mad. She's making stuff up, whatever. I made some stories. They're like, all right, man, go home. So I got in my car and took that long ride home. And I get home and there's like 30, 40 people sitting in front of my house. Like, imagine how shameful that feels. Like, it was a really sad point for me to realize, like, these are all people who care and love me. And I've just let all of them down. They're out looking, scanning the city, scouring the city, trying to find me. Like, really, it just was crappy. And man, like, I remember I didn't want to face them all. So what I did, in fact, was when I got there, they called the ambulance. They did the 5150, right? So, like, take you and hem you up. And usually, like, they force you to go. And when I got there, I was calm. So they're like, you okay, sir? I was like, yeah. I was like, they're like, well, we're here to take you in, but you don't seem like you need to be taken in. But you could go if you want. I was like, yeah, I don't feel like facing these people. Let me get in here. So I got in, took me to the hospital. Everybody cleared out. My wife went and picked me up, took me back home. And just one of those dark nights. I remember like sleeping in the bed that night, just feeling this really crappy. And it was kind of that moment where I was like, internally, this cannot be how I'm going to continue living my life. I can't feel like this every day. And I think that was the big thing for me, is like, I don't want to feel this way. What do I do? Like, what do I do to not feel this way? And I didn't actually know. To be honest, it wasn't something where I knew. And then I had a buddy, Richie Belcher, solid human being, man, one of my best friends. And he played high school football with me, worked with me at the gym. And then he came to me like 2-3 days later when I went to the gym and, act like nothing happened, got to get back to life. And he pulls in the back office and says, hey, Ant, man, I want to let you know, whenever I got the message, he's like, I threw up in the toilet. Like, what do you mean? He's like, he's like, I felt sick. He's like, I thought I'd lost a hero. And to have that come from a buddy, like, not somebody that was, like anybody's, like a buddy of yours. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? It's like, at the end of the day, he's like, everybody in life that's around this town, we know what you went through. Like, we know what you've gone through. We know what you've achieved. Like, you are someone, like, literally everybody looks up to you, inspire a lot of people. And to know that I might have lost you hurt, man. So just know you always got me. And it was one of those moments where when I sat back, I started thinking about like, okay, what does all this part of my life have to, where does this culminate? Because I guess a lot of life lived up to this point. I mean, I skipped through a lot of different areas, but for me, it was just a weight of all this craziness. And I had this thought of like, well, if I was accidentally helping people just by living my life, what if I tried? What if I made sense of all the crazy that had gone on? What if the things that had gone on had some weird purpose of Anthony's gone through it, he's figured some of it out, let him figure himself out, and then come back and start teaching people how to get through that stuff too. And so that's what I did, man. I kind of started living my life a little bit differently and trying to talk a little bit more about what I'd gone through. I didn't have answers yet. This was back in 2011, talking like 9 years ago. I didn't have answers. It's like, mid-20s kid trying to figure things out. And so the more I kind of navigated life and started reading a bunch of books, and, my marriage did fall apart. I did get divorced. I did all that stuff. The business did tank. I ended up keeping it alive, but it took a while to get back to right. It's just, there's just so much stuff going on. And so over the years, I started realizing like, there's got to be something more. But here's the thing is I was doing this stuff, but going through the motion still. Where I wasn't really pressing out to something. In fact, the gym that I was running, I wasn't even in love with anymore. Like I liked the fitness space, but I wasn't in love with it. I just didn't have anything else to do. Like I was addicted to this struggle because it's what I knew. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us will stay in the same space doing something because we spend a lot of time doing. Like they say, it says don't stay married to your mistake because you spend a lot of time making it. Like that's what I was doing. It wasn't a mistake, but I was just doing it because I had this investment by myself. Well, since I've been doing it so long, I can't change gears. And then I got to this point in April. It was April 15th, 2014. And I'm sitting in a room and I watched my adoptive mom pass away. Like watched her take her final breath. It's like one of those mortality moments. You sit there and you realize like she had MS. She battled MS for 17 years. Couldn't walk, couldn't talk. She lived vicariously through me, but that's the end, man. She just wasn't herself. I started realizing like, if this is how life is, short as it is, quickly, she's 47. I was like 30 at the time, which tells me that, man, I could be here less than I've already been here. And that's fast. It already feels fast. Like, how am I going to waste my years doing this thing that doesn't make me feel alive? And so I was like, well, I got to find a way to do something more that gives back to the world in a way that is not normal to me, but feels uncomfortable, because I think that's where I can find something different and special. And at the same time, God put in front of me this program. It's called Experts Academy by a guy named Brendan Burchard in my space, who's now a buddy, which is kind of a weird, cool thing. And it's like it was like an event I went to. It's like you can actually take what's happened to you, package it up, and help people with it. Give them the tools and the process, unpack it, make sense of it, cross the finish line, and go back and say, here's how to get through that race faster. And so I started doing that. I started kind of like unpacking. I ended up closing a gym because it didn't serve me. God blessed me with an amazing contract with a power company that was doing consulting. So I had enough money to actually venture into this new space. My gym lease was up, so I wasn't tied to that. And I shifted. I literally jumped out of one industry that I'd spent a lot of time in. And I mean, I was traveling the world speaking in fitness as far as Russia, writing books, had a gym, like a 9,000 square foot gym. That was, to this day, people still think that's all I do, right? That's how big I got in that space. And I shifted gears, man. And I've spent the last 6 years building into this. And the unique thing for this realm is I did not start doing identity work. Not with a focus, but I was in the background. I started with a brand called Trust Your Hustle. And it was me talking about how you have to trust your ethic, like work ethic, trust how you hustle, trust that there's going to be problems. But if you give yourself confidence, you bring you to those problems. Now, I was telling that story, and it was Trust Your Hustle. And then I started having speeches and growing and getting new connections. And just, I was a guy that would hustle. I did a 90-second video a day for 3.5 years every day, 10 minutes a day. Like it was big, man. 3.6 years, 1,333 straight days. 333 was a specific number I ended on. But in the process of doing it, like I got to befriend some amazing people in my industry. I got to be part of some great groups. And so now I'm in this mastermind, which we meet at the end of this month in Puerto Rico again. But it's a group of people that are like quite literally the top minds in this industry. If you know our world, this personal world, you got Brandon Burchard, Dean Graziosi, Lewis House, Trent Shelton, Russell Brunson, Kenny Reuters, Jeff Walker, Alex Ordner, Dave Hollis, like Rachel Hall, all these amazing people. these are it's my little group, which is not a little group. You know what I mean? Like it's the heavy hitters. And so I'm sitting in this meeting and we're talking about our businesses. And this is how Identity Shift came to be. And I'm telling my story, kind of like I've told you guys here. And I kind of unpack what Trust Your Hustle is. And one of the guys named Ethan, he says, I don't like it, man. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, that's 5 years of my life, or like at the time it was like 3 years of my life. Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I like this. The story is amazing. He's like, you're incredible. He says, you are the messenger. Who you are as a human, like what you've created, what you've done, you're the messenger, but the message doesn't match you. He's like, yeah, hustle. He said, everybody in this room here hustles. People across the world talk about hustle. What's unique about that? He's like, well, at the end of the day, what I want to know, what makes me curious, he says, is how the hell did you get here? It's like, how did you go through all these different shifts of your identity that like, he's like, a lot of these would stop, one of them would stop most people in their tracks. They wouldn't make it past. Losing football wouldn't make it past. The divorce wouldn't make it past. Foster care, they don't make it past. Like statistically, I didn't know this till after, 75% of inmates in prison are former foster kids. 51% of our homeless population are former foster kids. So he's like, how did you navigate all these different things and then get here? He's like, that's what I want to know. That's where I think the world needs somebody to help with identity, especially nowadays with social media skewing identities, and we're a different person offline than we are online. He says, figure that out. So that was this thing of like a challenge of me to go back and shift again, to literally trash an entire company called Trust Your Hustle and start a new one. After I've already spent years and put thousands, $100,000 into it. And what I came to find was I'd already been doing this work. I just hadn't done the scientific, like the psychology, the structure, and the naming of it, right? It was always a Trust Your Hustle. It was always about you, your identity, who you are, how you hustle, how you work. But then I went back, started unpacking it, and I found a lot of things out about humanity and myself and neuroscience psychology that I bring to the forefront now through my coaching programs that I work with people, or through my speeches and just social media. And so that's kind of where I've dug my feet into the ground and realized like my job as a human on this planet is to help people reach their full potential. Like God promised that Anthony would be a guy that would go through this craziness, figure it out, and reach his own potential, cross some finish lines, and then go back and say, look, I know you might have had these areas where you don't know who you are. Like you might have lost your complete identity and you don't know what your potential could be. But damn, it is a process to figure that out. Like I went back and looked at my entire life and said, where did I see the same things occur? And I pulled them out. Where's that title like neuroscience? And I stripped it out. Where's the side of psychology? And I stripped it out. Turned it into very simplistic concepts that I teach now. And then not only do I teach it, but I teach people how to apply it. So I train companies like Amazon. I train, social media organizations. I train the furniture companies, financial executives, like anybody that has people that work with or for them. That's what I work with. And it's great to be able to sit back now and take people from like dark bottoms where I have clearly been and help them climb out to be in a place where they seriously look in the mirror one day and like, damn it, this is me. I never thought this would be me, but this is who I am. And to truly have an identity shift and reach their full potential. So that's where I became that guy, man. That's how this all came to be. That's, I guess, why you would ask why I'm a guy that has a unique perspective on the Mettle Mentality, which is I have that. And I'm always honing it and refining it. And believe me, life still gives me a lot of those pressure and heat moments. Like I had one yesterday. I lost my entire day dealing with stupid stuff, but it's part of life, man. And what's great is I have a purpose to overcome it, and then a purpose to give insight and share from it.
I think you just answered my next like 5 questions in there. So now I'm like struggling. I don't know where I want to go with this.
That's all right. Just go what you get.
So the answer was, that was just one question I asked. Like, what makes your perspective unique on that? And you shared so much, and that's just like, it's so incredible. Like as I'm sitting here, like I can feel like what you're saying, like the impact on it, like the truth, like of it, just the reality of it. And it's incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, man, I got you.
So it's New Year's, right? So you're 2020. Yeah. I think New Year's resolutions are probably the dumbest thing in the world. And this is why. When we make a resolution, 99% of us don't make a commitment to actually achieve that goal. And instead of setting goals for the new year, we end up making wishes.
Yeah.
Right? And we're not going to commit to it. How do you stay committed to your goals?
Yeah. So I think the thing is that they do become wishes because we don't grasp what it means, right? A goal that's not written down is still a wish. I don't think resolutions are stupid. I think that the way we approach them is not very smart.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. The way we approach it's stupid.
Yeah, it's just and so I did a Vera series actually. It's rolling now, and one of the biggest thing to start with is like people ask, "You gonna go big for 2020? How big you gonna go?" I'm like, I'm gonna go really small, man. Like I'm not. I big things will happen, but only because I take the small things serious. I was with the Steelers, and Coach Tom was really big on. I'm like, we're not trying to have. Like even in games, you don't need the big plays. You need the small plays to win every single time. We need to get good at the small things. Showing up to meetings on time, being at practice, staying healthy, getting your lifts in, going to meetings, knowing the playbook, knowing the tendencies, like the small things. Because the small things are what we do consistently. Like we consistently do those things. And when you get to that flow, like for me, I tell people, I want you to have success be your second nature. Right. So we look at goal setting. Like goal setting it's realistic. You need to have some goal. I always realize I want to go as big as I can and then realize when I achieve that thing, I'll find out how small it is because my potential keeps growing, right? I'll achieve this big thing and be like, oh, damn, I could have done more. It always happens. How do you get there? And what I found is if I can make success your second nature, and what I mean by that is make it to where you do the things that overwhelm you, that may scare you, that seem like they're stretched and they're difficult. When you can do those things easily, like it's a Tuesday afternoon, that's how you win. It's just the thing is right now it's new, it's overwhelming. You don't have any ownership, any identity in that thing. And it takes time to develop that. Over time, the investment bias we have, the more we do something, the more we feel confident in it. When you start getting that going, what ends up happening is over time, you get to a flow to where the things that move the needle, that may be the magic pieces for you that at first were difficult, when they become easier, you do them consistently. And now what happens is you can set a goal, but then what you should do for resolution of your goal is go back and say, what would I need to do every day to make that happen? Because if not, then it's a wish. Because I'm not even writing down what I'm going to make it take place. So for example, if I want to lose 40 pounds, okay, so let's say you want to go to grandma's house. You're just going to walk out of your door, start wandering around. No, you're going to set GPS. You're going to try to find a path to get there. But a lot of us say, I want to lose 20 pounds. And we step outside of our house and go, all right, how's it going to happen?
Where's my genie to make this happen? Right? Where's my
There's
wish?
no destination.
Yeah.
I actually just created a planner called the GPS planner specifically for this because people have these planners but have no idea how to plan. Like it's amazing to me. So I took the planner I've been using since 2011. This actually came out after my craziness. This is I call it the prop. It's redesigned and it's going to be in a book format. I literally just sent it off to China to get created, I want to say like last weekend. So it's a whole new thing, but it's really based on like, what's the GPS? Goal, plan, start. So what I look at is what's the goal? Where we're going to have this goal be? Where am I going to end up? What I want to do? Then I have the next section, literally, what is the plan? What is your path to get there? Because if you don't have that, you'll never, ever get there. You can't just wander out. It's like a football game. Like, I'm just going to go hard. Even in football games, we got game plans. We got plays. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just like, crazy man.
Yeah, you don't go out there with a bunch of people in the field and just start throwing a football around.
Yeah, it ain't park football, man. That's how you win games, and that's how you win life. And so it's a plan. And then what I look at is everybody gives themselves a deadline. And believe me, deadlines have a necessity. It's a point for them. However, nobody thinks about when am I going to start and commit to that. They just commit to, I'm going to get it done by this time. So for me, the goal plan start has, here's the goal, here's the plan, and every piece of that plan, I need to know when I'm going to start it. And if one has to happen a day after the other one, I better get that first one started and completed, right? So I give myself start dates. And then what happens is because I've started and the ball is moving, if I keep the process up and I look at the daily process, what am I reading? What am I writing? Am I exercising? I don't even look at tomorrow. I kid you not, bro. I have no idea what tomorrow looks like for me. I just don't. I have notifications if I have to work on something that's going to be weeks away, but I put it in today. I just do it today. And then what happens is now I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm not worried about yesterday. I just focus on this thing now. And if I just commit to that every day, that's how big things happen for my life. I've planned it out. I have my goal. I have the plan. I infuse those plans into my life schedule. And I just wake up every day and live the life. If it says work off, like off work, I get off of the computer. If it says get a workout, I get a workout. Like I just follow my own plan. Now, yes, sometimes days adjust, things happen like yesterday, but I have little like release valves in the middle of the week where it's like, do whatever you want. And I just sit there and say, okay, I got 4 hours. You figure out what I can do, what hasn't been caught up on. Maybe it's watching a TV show, whatever it is. But what happens for me is when I have my resolutions, like I know what I want to get done this year. It's already written down. I've already got a plan as far as 8 months out to get a lot of it completed. And I just let it go week by week. And what I do for my planner is I spent the last week of the year just planning out the first 4 weeks. At the end of every week, I plan the week after that. So I'm always a month out. Therefore, no one can take my time. If somebody says, hey, are you available? I can look at my schedule and say, no, I'm not. I have training, or I have writing, or I have thinking time built in, workout time, breakfast. And I'm not going to erase anything on my schedule to fit somebody in if it doesn't fit. So I'm sorry, but unless there's a reason, and I have obviously space people can pop in, that's built in somewhat, but not overlapping anything I've already said yes to. If I don't do that, resolutions don't get hit. A lot of us, we commit to something, we say yes to something, but then what happens is we end up finding out that something new pops up. We say yes to this thing. And if you say yes to something new, you're saying no to something you already said yes to. So for me, I just stay the course, man. I have it planned out. My resolution stays where it's supposed to be because I start by thinking, what are the small nuanced things that I can focus on and get normalized to? Some are difficult. Don't get me wrong. Some of these things I got to do, they are difficult. Like I pack a lot in an hour in the mornings nowadays. But at the end of the day, it's like, all right, it is a lot right now. But 6 months in, it's my normal everyday Monday at 7:00. You know what I mean? Like it's just normalcy. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it to be my second nature to do those things easy. That's how success happens.
And you answered my next question as well. I was going to say people quit. It's a choice. Quitting is a choice. Why do people quit? And I think I can answer that for you. What you would say is they don't have a plan. And they're not willing to make us give up something. Because anytime you want to achieve something, you got to give something else up.
Yeah, they're not willing to give it up, and they don't clearly define their time. So what they end up doing is when they set deadlines, they don't reach a deadline, that they feel bad about themselves, so they fall off course. That's the first piece of it. Second thing is they do go into life without having a plan. If they haven't created a plan, they don't know how to plan, which means when they're confronted with a difficult situation, if I don't already have a plan for this and I don't know how to plan in the moment, it's too difficult. I move on to the next thing. And then also, they're consistently gauging how far they are away as opposed to how far they have come. Mm-hmm. So if I want to lose 30 pounds, if all I'm looking at is like, well, I haven't lost 30 pounds today, every single day I feel like a piece of crap. But what if you've lost 20 pounds? You look back like, yeah, I lost 20. I feel good. 10 more to go. Those are the people who succeed. So whenever we're running this route and we have this process, and the thing is, if it's even worse if I'm not where I want to be and I don't have a plan to get there. That's the worst. Like that's how I would turn around and go home. Like I'm out in this journey. I've been driving forever. I don't even know how to get where I'm just going to go home. It's natural. Think about how easy that is. That's how it works for a lot of us. We have no plan to get where we want. We're not even tracking how far we've come. So we just turn around and head back home. And it sucks. And so for me, it's like looking at people's lives and saying, man, there's an actual, we'll call it mental and psychological part to all this. But there's really a tactical piece that people are missing that will fuel that emotional, that mental piece. If you do it right, you structurally build it into your life the right way.
That's awesome. Yeah. I don't even know how to word right now. Words are not coming to me right now. I'm just like thinking about everything you just said. Like I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to take some notes and I'm going to come up with a plan. And that's incredible. So this show, the whole purpose of this show is people are listening to it. If they're suffering in any type of way, I want them to know that it's okay, that they're okay, that they matter. This suffering matters.
Yeah.
And that suffering is necessary for growth. Why do you think suffering is necessary for growth?
I think a couple things. I think one is that saying that a smooth sea makes not a skilled sailor. Right. So life is inevitably going to throw us craziness. Like I look at my life now and I think people like, oh, I ain't special, man. He played in the NFL. I didn't do that. I'm not as good as him. It has nothing to do with it. Like that was just a thing I did. You know what I mean? And I wasn't some pro bowler. I was the guy trying to make the squad. Like, Ninja Warrior. Like that was great. He's on TV. I'm one of a bunch of people sitting in the back lot there. It looks all sexy. It's all this stuff that looks amazing. But the reality is the only reason I can do those things easily is because of the rough seas I've had before. That's it. Like everybody looks like I'm special. All I did was I think some people they're docked at this spot in life, and the ocean picks up and they go back to the sea. Like they go back to port. They may leave the safe of the port, but then the ocean picks up like, I don't know how to do this. I'm gonna go back in. But it's the ones who go out to the rough seas and they essentially try to figure out how to navigate those seas, how to read the waves, how to, adjust the mast, how to, steer and like feel the wind. How do I do this? The thing about if you had that feeling, would you be as scared to go out into the ocean? No, I figured it out, right? But it's those who go out there and feel it and say, I can't do this, and they turn around and go back. Now you're always going to be scared of that. Not only that, but you've lost pride in yourself because you know you're the guy that turned back or girl that turned back. So what I do is I'm really big on like, I lean into it. Like I really weird. I get this palpable, like I taste discomfort and fear, and it tastes good. It's a weird thing. At this point in my life, I like problems because I get to figure out how to solve them. Like one of the things I'm good at is like board games. Board games are good for me because I like the tension. I like the navigating of situations and problems. And I lean into it so much that like everybody else gets all flustered and freaked out, and I thrive in it. Like I get used to it. And so for me, when people start wanting to go back and they want to quit, and why I think that having difficulty and stuff is necessary, is because you're learning how to navigate the seas of life. And what happens is you'll be one of the people that can stay out to sea longer. And the longer you're out to sea, the more you can cross the channels and get the goods, we'll call it, right? It's always going to be something where that's a difficult part of life, but life isn't going to slow down. Life's going to consistently throw things at us. And as we get older, we have more responsibilities. We have kids, we have careers, we have our credit to deal with, we have more. If you can't handle the rough sea when it comes at you later, like your whole life falls apart. So deal with them now. Don't run from them because they're just going to chase you farther and farther. And yes, at the end of the day, like it's going to be scary, but you're not going to die. Like it's not truly bad. Like you're not going to die if all of a sudden someone doesn't like your podcast. Like you're not going to die if somebody says something negative to you on your post. Like, and like it's going to be okay. Or if, you go and your kids do something and they don't do well at sports, like it's going to be okay. It's a matter of people trying to figure out that it's like I'm a water guy, I guess, for today. But if you go to the beach, right, the goals that we want, things we want to get done, everybody's at the shore. At the shore, things they're cloudy, like it's everybody's stomping in the water, the waves roll up. You can't see very clear what's in the water. Everything's just cloudy. But if you think about those who want to see clearly, like where do we snorkel? In the depths. But it's scarier, it's harder, there's less people, it's more clear. So if you want to be able to see clearly and have a beautiful life you can view, you got to venture into the depths of the water. Because out there, yes, it is scary, but if you know how to swim, if you understand what you're looking for, you'll get to that point where it's like, I can stay out here with my snorkel and breathe just fine. And look at how beautifully clear this water is. Too many people are afraid to go into the depths and learn to swim.
Yeah, I really like that. Why? So I think part of the reason why many of us don't use suffering as a catalyst to grow is we compare. How do I say this? Human beings, we like to compare everything together, right?
We do
this against that. That's just the way our brains work. We want, and you can't compare something if you can't quantify it, right? It's not comparable. Yeah. And so I guess what I'm getting at is suffering is not quantifiable. Yet we still compare our suffering to other people. Like, oh, well, at least that's not happening to me. Or, oh man, what's happening to me is so much worse than you. So people might look at your story and say, oh man, he's been through so much more. Like I didn't grow up in foster care and abused and all, and not know that. So yeah, he's a better person than I am.
No.
So I guess my question I want to ask you is, what are the consequences of comparing our sufferers to others?
Yeah, well, one is keep in mind that everything's relative. So you listening right now, you got to realize that your pain is relative. So for my children, for example, like I was growing up at 10 years old, getting, hit, beat, starve, like a lot of craziness. And there was a lot of pain associated with that. My 10-year-old now, my son, if I tell him he can't play video games, emotionally, he has the same level of pain. You see what I'm saying? So it's like two vastly different things, same response internally, emotionally. And we can't always control that thing. So it's like if you have this comparison, another problem people run into is like there's two levels of this. One, the comparison is problematic because we're typically comparing ourselves to a world that has an unset scale. So one of the things I do with my clients early on is we have this process where we set a scale. Legitimately, what is your specific scale of what's your great, what's your amazing if you accomplish it? And you do it in solitude. You don't do it with the rest of the world. You don't compare it to the world. You sit in your own realm, in your own head and say, what would be amazing for me to achieve? Like, well, if I could achieve this, what's amazing for me? Damn what Nick and Tom and Susan say. What's amazing for me? And then you set your scale to that and you achieve it. Because here's one of the biggest problems. People will actually put effort and energy into something. They achieve it. And someone comes riding up with this other scale and their scale is unset. And they say, oh, you got that? Yeah, but you could have done this. And you go, oh, man, yeah, I guess so, right? And now I feel like, why even work? Any work I do isn't even that great. And I don't feel accomplished, right? Because we adopted this arbitrary, unmeasured, unquantified scale from the world. That is, the world scale sucks. Like there's like 70 different scales that are all unset. I don't even live by the world scale, man. I know what makes me feel good and I do that. And I don't care if you don't like it. And so that's how I operate my world, first off comparison. But here's one thing that people in this, all of the world don't grasp is failure is this thing that has a broad stroke to it, and it's very unclear, and it's a problem, right? So the problem we run into as human beings is we do have failure. We do. We fail in certain areas, but it's not the end. There's actually 6 different progressive levels of failure. The first one is a really basic one, which is like, it's predictable failure. I know this thing's going to fail, right? I'm going into sports knowing I'm going to get yelled at every day, right? I know it's supposed to break, so I can fix it. And there's version failure, right? The iPhone 11 exists because the iPhone 1 existed. I started, here's a version, wasn't great, let me fix it, right? 3 is a common failure. It's why the apology was created. Sorry, didn't mean to do that, right? 4, glorious failure. It's going down, let's light a cigarette, get a stogie and watch it burn, right? This sucks, but we're just gonna let this thing go down. 5 is structural failure. A big piece is broken, but it's not unfixable. It's damn near close to unfixable, but it's not unfixable. And then you have abject failure. The end, it's done. There's no fixing it. Death, right? That's the end, never fixable. What unfortunately happens for a lot of people is they take situations in life and they place everything at structural or abject when it should be common, version, or predictable. So my relationship failed. I got a divorce, whatever it might be. I, at one point in time, had this issue. I got a divorce. It was a version failure, but I made it abject. I'm never going to be with another woman again. I'm never getting married. I'm unlovable, right? Mm-hmm. So why would I even put effort into fixing it? That's what people do. They have these things happen in life and they throw it to the top of the list. Or I lost my job. I'm never going to get a good job again. This sucks. It's broken, right? So what I look at for a lot of people is trying to have them grasp like, hey, people always tell you there's a silver lining to take a lesson from the failure, but you'll never do it if you put it too high in the list. So knock it down a little bit, like realize that this was a version or predictable, or maybe it's a glorious failure. You know what? This relationship wasn't for me. I'm just going to step back, smoke a stove, let it burn, right? Go find another one. But we need to have more people doing that, because the problem that I find is if you think about like a tree, like you're the tree, a lot of people don't realize that the tree, they think that the fruit of the tree, like about fruits of our labor. We build something, we create something. They have an exercise called the tree of life, or roots and fruits we talk about. And the roots are like faith, family, health, friends, emotion, things that root us. So if the winds of life come blowing like wind on a tree, it won't uproot the tree. You're still stable. But that tree produces the fruit, right? It's what creates the income, the career you have, the type that you can take trips, your purpose, your why you're here, like your educational ability. Are you learning every day from life? And what happens is people create an amazing career, like I did for football, or they have this amazing income they've got. And what happens is they lose it. The tree falls, not the tree, but the fruit falls off the tree. And then because people are the fruit, The fruit withers and dies. It goes in the soil. That's how people feel. I lost my job. I don't make that kind of money. I'm nothing now. I left the military. I'm nothing now. I left football like I did. I'm nothing now. I was only in my head the fruit. The reality was I was the tree that produced the fruit. I was the guy that did all that stuff. That guy still exists. He needs to realize he's the tree and learn to produce different fruit. So when I work with people, a lot of it's like, hey, yeah, you lost that, or your fruit's not that great right now, but damn it, you're not the fruit. Let's make this tree healthy. Let's get some deeper roots. Let's get a bigger trunk. Let's give some nutrients to this damn thing and watch what kind of fruit you can create.
So what I really love about hearing you having this conversation is you use a lot of metaphors. And my wife says that, like, that's all. Anytime I explain anything, it's through metaphors. And because I'm such a visual person, I'm such a visual learner. And so I really connect to the way that you explain things, because it's like my personal flavor, that my preferred flavor.
It works for my brain. Yeah. I started this whenever I would, the gym was it was a microcosm of me and figuring the world out, right? So the microcosm of the world was me in a space of having to teach 9-year-olds and complex concepts. So I pretty much learned how to make everything pictures pretty quickly. I had practice. I had a decade of practice doing that. So now at this point, I'm like, how do I make this concept simple for people? Because the work I do, I can throw big words like neuroscience and psychology and identity shift in there, and the DOMs, the fault mode network, and all these things, but it doesn't help. Then you got to learn that word to know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, all right, the smart people make things simple. So I take all this information I got and I try to simplify it so people go, oh, I could do that. Because that's it. Like I'm not battling to be the smartest. That's not my goal. My battle is, how do I get you to reach your full potential? And the first thing is reaching you. If I can't reach your brain, I can't help you. So it's a selfish thing, I think, when people start trying to use a bunch of big words. The fitness industry is the worst for this. That's why I'm glad I left that industry. There's some great people. There's too many bro science, computer technician minded individuals trying to teach the body to people. Because all you're doing is you're saying a bunch of big words to make yourself look special to your peers, but you ain't helping anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like people don't get it. Like you don't have to use a bunch of big words. Just dumb it down. Seriously, I hate the word dumb it down, but it's what it is. Like simplify it so people can go, oh, I got that. Let me go do that. And now they'll get the change you're talking about you want for them. If you're not doing that, you're serving yourself. You're not actually serving people.
Yeah, in the Army, we call that breaking it down Barney style.
There you go.
Right. And the Marines color it with crayons, right? There's jokes on that. But they draw it out in crayon form. But no, the more simple we can make things, easier it is to understand. So my goal with this, the idea of mettle mentality, mettle, METTLE, is a dead word. Not people don't really use it. They don't really know what it means. And I realized my wife helped me real quickly understand. She's like, I don't get it. She's like, you need to define what that is. And it took me a while to really come up with that in a way that was something that I felt was true, but it was simple at the same time.
Yeah,
and
that's what it needs to be.
The easier it is, the more people you can help.
Yeah, true.
You're not limiting your target audience, right?
It's not even a target audience thing. It's just communication. It helps you understand how to master it. Whenever you can actually simplify it, you're mastering it. And I always do things in my realm now is I'm always finding like I have a focus of teaching. If you ever try to like listen to something with the idea of like, I'm going to be able to take a test on this, it's way different than I'm going to listen to this so that I can teach it. So I listen to things to teach them, and it makes it vastly different for me, because then what I'm doing is now I'm having to learn it in my head a certain way, but then I'm always processing, how would I explain this simpler? Like I want to be able to have my son, who's a sophomore in high school, get it clearly. And if he can get it, I'm good. If he can't, I'm not.
I like that idea of having the ability to teach it, not regurgitate it, be your goal.
Yeah, because it takes a different understanding.
That was pretty impactful for me. That if you can teach something, you really understand it. And I think you really got it down. Like you really understand what your mission is. Like you can teach it. Like you've taught me so much just in the short time that I've been just. Yeah. I feel like I'm sitting at your feet, and I'm like, teach me, sensei. Like, yes, everything you say is the truth, and you've got it down, and you're a great teacher. I want to ask you, what is your personal ethos? The words
Like
that
what
you
I
live
live
by. Yeah. What is your personal ethos, and what are the words that you live by? Like on a day-to-day basis, make sure like you're honoring that.
Yeah, so there's words that I live into in different moments, right? So what I mean by that is every moment I enter in life is different. So for example, this morning I woke up, I needed to focus on creating a slide deck for a speech I'm giving in the 16th. I got 16th, February 1st, February 5th, and going to all this craziness. So I have different areas, right? Then I got to switch gears quickly, and now we're talking. The moment we're going to be done, I'm going to go grab my son, I'm going to go to the gym. Before enter new moments, I have to be able to switch gears. Because I'll go through a day where I have like straight 8-hour days of like, I'm creating something, then I have to do numbers, then I got to do a podcast, and I'm going to coach clients, and I'm going to go back to podcasts. So I enter different moments with different words. So what I do is before I start a conversation or I start a new project, it takes me all of like 3-4 seconds. I say a few words in my head, repeat them like 5 to 10 times so I can focus on that's how I want to show up. So I don't have like a life ethos, but I have like the hour or the moment or the sections of my life ethos. So like, for example, we're on here. I want to be present. I want to be transparent. And I want to be honest. Like those are big words, like present, transparent, honest. I want to be here focused on you. So I'm not doing different clicking buttons. Mm-hmm. I want to be very present. I want to be transparent. Here's my whole world, my whole life. Just open it all up. And I really want to be honest. Like here's my honest perspective of what I think. I'm not going to bottle them up. I'm not going to change them. But then if I'm with my son, like me and my son go to the gym, I want to be, for me, I haven't thought of the words for this moment just yet because it's different when I'm with him, but I want to push. Like it's a word for me, it's usually push whenever I train. It's always like, it's not really one level, but it's like next level or next one. In college, my coaches say, you got to live 1 inch out of control. So you got to find that little level to push into to keep pressing my limits. And then for me, I want to stay consistent. So like I'll set times and I want to stay consistent with the time I have for this gym workout or my rest in between. And so that's it. Or motivating if my son's going to be there. I haven't chosen these words, but this is how I structure my life. If it's going to be like at home, work's done, present, happy, or joyous, which are interchangeable for me, and clear. Like I want to be clear of what's going on, what my thoughts are of my wife. I want to be present with the family, so I'm always there. I want to be joyous and happy. So if something messed up my day during my work day, I'm not going to bring that back to my time with my family. But I reset that every hour or every section of time I go into. Because if I don't, that's how you have a bad morning, make your marriage suck at night. I had a bad day. So why are you bringing that home to me? Like, why do I want to have a bad day with you? Like, let's come home.
You're married to a punching bag?
Yeah, not even that. Like, why do you want to stay in that emotional space? It's a choice to stay there. People will tell you this happened, so that's why I'm like this. Yeah. But you're choosing
victim mentality.
To an extent. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's days when things suck. And I'll just tell my wife, like, hey, love, this day sucked. And I mean, there's nothing I can do about it right now. I'm not going to take it out on you, but that's why I'm not 100% joyous and happy, right? I'm trying, but I'm not giving you negativity. So I'll start finding ways to actively try to do or think a different way. That way I can do something different, talk about something different. My mind goes in that space. If not, I'm still back there while I'm here. And one big thing you have to do is you have to be where you are physically when you are there. Like mentally and physically, I gotta be here. So be where you are when
present in the moment. Yeah, present in the moment and living with intention. That's as you're talking about this, answering this question, that's how I would define your ethos is live in the present, live with intention.
Yeah.
And I like that each situation that you're encountering, you're mentally preparing for it. You're saying this, give yourself those 3 words, your 3 goals. Like, this is what I'm going to do to achieve this. And I'm going to start doing that, actually. I really like that. That's great advice.
Yeah, simple one, man.
This is my final question for you.
All right.
Let's pretend that for the next 30 seconds, whatever you say is going to be heard and understood by every single person in the world. What do you say?
I say the goal of life is to create more amazing moments than bad ones. I think life is a collection of just moments. So create more amazing ones than bad ones. And I believe that starts by you learning how to own your shift. And there's 3 specific words to that have 3 specific heavy weights. The first one is own, which means own that there's a problem. Don't try to cover it up or act like it doesn't exist. Own that there is a problem that needs to be fixed for you to reach that next level. And it may not be a bad one. And it may be something you've adapted or owned or just you've gotten used to. You don't have to have amazing, crazy, magical moment pop up to make a change. Just make a change, right? Own that, all right, it's time. This sucks. I don't like this anymore. Let me change this. The your part means it's your job to fix it. You can't give this to somebody. You can't hand it off. No one's going to show up and fix your problem for you. Own that you are in control. Even if it's not your fault that something took place, it's your responsibility to fix it. You got to work on it. And then shift. You got to do the work. If you know there's a problem, you know it's your fault, don't sit back and drink a beer and start doing drugs because you don't want to deal with it. Shift. Do the actual work. The shift portion is the work involved in that. Because when you can own your shift, that's how you'll truly reach your full potential.
I love it. I just wrote all that down. Own your shift. Own the problem. Your part to fix it. Shift. Do the work.
Do the work.
I feel like we need to make like a meme or something for that.
I could.
That's awesome. I'll make one and I'll send it to you and I'll put your name on it. And then mine will be like very, very small down the bottom. Like I heard him say this.
There you go.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate your time. Like this has truly been an honor. I'd love to have you on again. I know we've got so much more you can talk about. Time is limited, and you're doing good. What you're doing is an incredible thing. It's very honorable. You're taking your experience and you're using that to share with other people to help them grow and become better. Thank you so much.
Hey, very welcome, man. Those people who are out in the world listening and tuning in, man, I pray you guys got something from it as well. I don't know. I never know exactly what you get, but I do at the end of the day, it's something that you needed to hear. So however you heard whatever I said, I pray it does something amazing for you.